In high school, would you kindly stand and join us in saluting the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public announcements, do you have any public announcements? Remember, Kenny, you're slipping?
I didn't know we were going to be on TV, or say what I had.
Okay, public appointments, we have unfinished business. We have an appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Lisa Bezanson and Richard Negrelli. Lisa was able to speak at the last meeting. I don't know if,
Mr. Chairman, before you go on, as you know, I did not participate in the last meeting, and since this is not a continued hearing, there was a vote taken. I have since spoken to the State Ethics Commission on June 5th, and I was told by Pauline Nguyen, Assistant General Counsel, that I may vote on the appointment since the ZBA is a volunteer non-paid position, provided I filed the 23B3 disclosure with the Abington Town Clerk. Today I filed that disclosure, which in part reads, my wife is on the Zoning Board of Appeals and has applied for reappointment. Taking into account all facts, I feel I can perform my official duties objectively and fairly. Therefore, I will be participating in this hearing.
thank you, Alex. Thank you. So first off then, we have Richard Negrelli. Richard, would you like to take a seat over there on that table? I'm sorry the accommodations aren't the best. But I checked with Justin. Justin, is that all right with you? Yeah, right here. Anything's good. You can stand here. That's fine.
Okay, just want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to speak. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My wife and I have lived in the town of Abington for 23 years. We've raised two children here. My daughter is at Bridgewater State University, and my son is South Shore Vo-Tech. I graduated from Blue Hills Vo-Tech, where I studied carpentry. After graduation, I worked at Norfolk County Jail for 3 years, and since then I've worked at for 26 years as a firefighter lieutenant in training and inspections. I go and do inspections on single-family homes, make sure that they're up to state code before they're sold. I don't really have much. It's just the reason why I would like to be a member of the ZBA is because I'm interested in volunteering my time, the town of Abington. I'm willing to learn new things, bring knowledge to the board if I can. I'm aware that many of the board members have been on boards themselves in the town, shows commitment, dedication to the community, and I would like to have the same opportunity to get back to town of Abington.
Thank you, Rich. Questions from the board? Just gonna get off easy, pal.
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask one. Do you currently sit on any board?
No board.
Okay, Lisa, please.
As you know, I'm Lisa Bezanson. I tried to be brief and trim it down from last time, but I just ended up making it longer, so bear with me. I'm very passionate about zoning, so I have a few things I want to say. Thank you once again to the Board of Selectmen for considering my reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. For the new faces here tonight, I want to recap a couple of things, and they are that I am currently the Vice Chairman of the ZBA. I have 3 college degrees, one in business management, another in architectural technology. I'm a licensed realtor, and I also hold a Massachusetts Construction Supervisor's license, more commonly known as a builder's license. Therefore, according to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, unless I just misunderstood something, I am currently the only zoning board member or applicant qualified to read and properly interpret site plans and building construction plans. Also, for those of you who don't know, the Zoning Board of Appeals is comprised of 5 members, 3 of which are full voting members and 2 who are alternate members. Currently, the chairman selects any 3 of the 5 members to vote on applications before the board. A motion to approve an application must be a unanimous vote of 3. However, a denial only takes 1 vote of 3. Our town is made up of many, many undersized and non-conforming lots that were divided up long before the current zoning bylaws were put into effect. Therefore, many residents and property owners find themselves in need of zoning relief before they can make any improvements to their homes. Things like building an addition for an elderly relative, expanding their wooden deck, or constructing a new garage. A grant of zoning relief can be life-changing for many applicants whose life circumstances have changed and they are financially unable to move. Although any one of us voting members may have the right to vote no and thus flat out deny a petition, I think it more responsible and respectable if we seek instead to work with applicants and neighbors to work toward a mutually beneficial resolution, if such a resolution is possible. I believe that my professional experience and education has greatly assisted the board in several circumstances, and the property rights and property values of both the applicant and the abutters have been respected, if not improved. I also think it is critical that public boards maintain a mix of new members and experienced members, as experience and historical knowledge is extremely important for the continuity and smooth operation of our town. The zoning board currently has 2 alternate members with less than 3 years' experience. Our longtime chairman now announcing his retirement, I believe my continued service and experience on the board will be a great benefit to our town government. I do have a couple of things to add tonight. At the last selectmen's meeting, Chairman Franny hesitated to vote for my reappointment because he said he had a concern about the fact that I hold an elected position as a member of the Abington Housing Authority and an appointed position as a member of the Abington Zoning Board of Appeals. Selectman Burbine also indicated that he believed that term limits would serve the best interests of the town and might trump the benefit of maintaining a board membership with a mix of experienced and new board members. I wanted to note that our town charter does not require any term limits for elected or appointed officials, and we generally leave that issue to residents to decide when they vote for our elected officials. Mr. Burbine himself is now in his 3rd term as a member of the board, and evidently voters value his continued service to our town. I ask that you please consider the value of my continued service as an appointed member of the zoning board and my experience serving as the chairperson of the board. Additionally, to address Mr. Franny's concern, please note that our town charter and state law allows residents to volunteer and hold an elected and appointed position at the same time, or even to hold multiple appointed positions. Selectman Coyle noted that other members of the Board of Selectmen also hold appointed positions in our town, so my situation is quite common and completely ethical. To suggest otherwise would be unfair, and I don't want anyone to doubt my character. However, if for any reason my position on the Housing Authority continues to be a legitimate concern of Chairman Franny, I hereby offer that I will resign from my position as an elected housing member prior to being sworn in for another term as a volunteer member of the zoning board, if the majority of the board feels such a resignation would be a necessary condition of my reappointment. I hope this demonstrates how important I believe my continued membership on the zoning board will be, and with no disrespect to any other candidates for this position, a vote not to reappoint me would effectively remove experience and historical precedents from the zoning board. Even Mr. Shepherd, a fellow zoning board member of mine who was just reappointed last week to a 2nd term by the Board of Selectmen, expressed how much there is for new members to learn, the many legal issues to be considered, and his own desire to spend 3 more years trying to become more educated about zoning laws. I can offer that level of experience and professional education immediately, and I ask for your vote to reappoint me. I feel that I'm fully qualified, I possess the experience and professional background to continue to serve the best interests of the town, and I stand before you to volunteer my service to our community for an additional term. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Lisa. Questions for Lisa? This is not open.
Oh,
Let's do this.
I just,
Come back,
Should I go back?
yes.
For the board,
for the board.
Do we get an opportunity?
No.
excuse me.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
oh, all right, just in listening to you, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions from some of the things that you mentioned. So, first, did you say you're the vice chair or the chairman?
I'm the vice chair.
So if the chairman is not available, does the vice chair get the opportunity to appoint the 3 voting?
Yes, so far that's only happened once in the time that I've been on.
Okay. And this is, again, just from my knowledge, does the chair or the vice chair always be one of those 3?
Voting members?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
no, the chair assigns randomly who
Who will vote upon any?
will vote.
Okay, and then you had mentioned about the appeals. Do you know what % of appeals are in fact approved?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just wondering. So
I would say most.
most. I'm just
I
wondering.
really don't know.
Okay.
More than
Just
half.
honestly, these are things that just came as I was listening to you. Property values. You said from the appeals, you believe property values improve. By what % of that? What would you say if someone's property value goes up by? Should they appeal?
I don't know. My point was that I believe that improving a home improves the property values. And
Okay.
anytime somebody's allowed to improve their home, then
Okay.
that's a good thing.
I was just wondering if there was any figures on
Value-wise, I
it.
believe.
Okay. And last, just from what you brought up, your offer to resign from an elected position in lieu of an appointed position. Because I mean, when you get elected, you run, you have to have a
Right.
campaign and all that stuff, and
Right.
people vote for you. So
Right.
I was just thinking that an elected position, is sort of more, not more important, but you've got the town voters voting in favor of you, showing their support. So I was just
Yes.
wondering if you could reiterate why you would prefer to take yourself off of an elected position in lieu of an appointed position.
Well, frankly, because the housing authority is not a,
I don't, it's just, maybe it's just a
There's
personal.
not so much going on with the housing authority.
Not very labor intensive.
I really don't know, I was just really asking, so.
There's not a lot going on with housing. I mean,
Okay.
there is as far as they're concerned, but we don't see applicants, nobody comes before us. We discuss what's going on with the subsidized housing and pretty much approve what's spent on it. Really, seriously, a meeting takes less than 22 minutes at
Got it.
most times.
All right, so there's more
Kinda
action.
like
I don't mean to,
Kind of like our meetings, right?
devalue the housing
I-
authority.
Right,
They're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
But it's just a little more going on with the zoning board of appeals.
thank you, I just really wanted to understand it,
Yeah.
so, okay, thank you very much.
Now that's it.
I'm done,
I
thank you.
was very focused.
I just make one statement that, as Andy probably is well aware, my mother was chairman of the zoning board in Hanson for years and years and years. And speaking to her over the weekend, she did talk about the continuity and the learning process. And any of us that serve in the finance committee, the first 3 years are a blur because, you don't really learn much. So I do value the dedication and the experience. I just want to make that.
No, I appreciate that, Kenny, thank you. Kenny, I mean, I have something to say, but a lot of you guys will say anything you want, but
No, I'm going to stand by what I said the other night. I think 11 years is, and again, I appreciate your time and your service, Lisa, but I think 11 years is long enough, and I think we have somebody who's willing and capable of filling the position. We're always looking for new volunteers, for new people to get involved. We have a gentleman here who wants to do that, so I would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Negrelli to the zoning board.
and before you do, Lisa, I apologize if any part of me inferenced your ethics. That was not my desire, and I don't think I did, but if I did, I apologize, because anytime I have an ethics
Thank you.
problem with anybody, I will go face to face with them, and I don't do it in this forum. The issue that I have with appointing anybody to these new positions, about 3 or 4 years ago, we ventured on a journey to try to get more people involved in our government. And one of the things that we did is we wrote up a selectmen's appointed and reappointment process to appoint committees. This document was passed around to all boards and committees. It was adopted, and it was just re-adopted by the board. And one of the things we thought that we should let the residents of town know, that nobody has a lock on a position in the town of Abington. We wanted people to feel comfortable to come and apply for any position. Just like the positions on this board, every 3 years we have to run for office. Every 3 years you have to go for your appointment. One of the things we put in there that was after sitting for 2 terms on any committee, that if a new person came on, they would give certain considerations. And this is what's happened. Now, what has happened to me, and this is our policy. This is our policy right here. The length of service may normally be limited to 2 terms. These 3 years in length. In case where special training or expertise is required, longer periods of service may be appropriate. Fine. That's the policy we adopted. In considering this, one of the candidates is elected to a board, and there's no way that I would say, you know, turn in your papers for the elected board and we'll appoint, because then we'd just have to appoint another member to the final housing authority. And I think it's crazy because, again, the zoning board of appeals, there was a point in time in the town of Abington where some of these appointments were lifelong. And I can attest to the fact, in my own personal opinion, I don't think it was healthy for our town. I don't think it was in the best interest of our town. So I certainly don't think that this policy is bad in any way, shape, or form. I apologize if people have taken offense to it, and I know there's a lot of players in here. We're all more or less players. I respect the fact you're coming here tonight to support either candidate. But I have to stick on what I think is right for this town. And if we don't follow our policy, it's not worth the paper it's written on, quite frankly. And so I would second that motion.
Could you read the policy one more time?
Can I, did we change the policy and eliminate
We
that?
changed, we eliminated on Alex,
Number 9.
number 9, and
That
which
says that
said,
we shall give preference to a newcomer.
right,
Now, we don't have to give preference to a newcomer,
right,
but it's suggested that it's only 2 terms.
that's correct. That's correct. So, again, I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, and I apologize, but I'm not, this could go on and on for hours, and so it's just gonna be a board decision tonight. So,
Can I ask a question of the chair?
depends on what it is.
Mike, I think either we open it up or we don't.
Yeah, we don't, I
Well,
don't,
that's up to you. That's up to you.
no, I'm not going to, I agree with that, I think we should go, I apologize for that, but I gotta.
Because everybody in this room will probably want to speak and we can't.
Right, if you allow one, you're gonna allow them all, so. So I have a motion, having been seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I would say all in favor of appointing Rich, does it matter which one I go first?
Well,
The motion is on the floor.
The motion is for Rich
Oh,
Negrelli.
Rich
And a motion
Negrelli,
and second.
seconded, all those in favor of appointing Rich to the zoning board of appeals, kindly raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, it's 3-2. You have to be sworn in by the town clerk.
Thank you very much.
Let me just say this, there is some concerns going forward. If I get an idea that somebody is treating somebody else unfairly, I went through this on the Conservation Commission, there was hard feelings because of certain appointments that were made. And I respectfully went to the person who was, and spoke to him, and it has been fine. So if there are any problems with anybody that's on the conservation or whatever, please, you've gotta be fair. You've gotta recuse yourself. You've gotta do what you think is right for the best of the town of Abington. So you go to the town clerk and you get sworn in and she will give you some paperwork and stuff like that, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Can I vote?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure, sure.
Thank you very much.
When you get to Mr. Coyle, just watch the wall.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And again, thank you, Lisa, for your,
Yes, it's a thank you.
your service.
Yeah, I was taking a heck of a chance on not too far away from that housing up here. All right, where are we? Approval of garage licenses. I think you have in your packet a list of garages, and these are for, this is just for work, oh no, this is for sale of automobiles.
Just repair,
Just repair?
yeah. Mr. Chairman, those are the establishments that still owe taxes to date. They've been notified that they must, pay by June 30th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to disclose, I do own a piece of property in Abington that I rent out as an auto repair. I won't vote on this, but I will file the disclosure
What we do, Alex,
tomorrow.
just for your information, is we'll take the whole
You
page.
do them all at once? or-
No, you can exempt,
Oh,
because I
okay.
represent one on here.
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
we'll
let's,
just
okay, let's exempt.
exempt whichever ones you
LA
don't feel comfortable
used
with.
cars.
And I bought cars at 4 of these, so I want to exempt now.
So you want LA used cars?
Yes, okay.
And I want Borderland Services,
What is LA used cars?
bottom of the page.
Maybe they haven't paid the taxes.
And you want Borderland?
Borderland Services.
Okay.
Okay,
LA Auto Body
How about
Repair.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
is Bailey's?
Bailey's is on here, is it?
It is not on it.
No, it isn't.
Eddie Bailey's is on there. On the E.
Oh, it's under
Eight.
Eddie Bailey.
It's under Eddie Bailey. All right, I will choose
You don't even know
myself.
the name of it.
I don't.
All right, so Eddie Bailey's, Borderland, and LA we'll do separately.
Yes.
Okay, so anybody else have anything to say on that?
I'll make a motion to approve 2015 commercial garage renewals pending final inspections and outstanding taxes being paid, with the exclusion of Borderland Services, Eddie Bailey's Garage, and LA Auto Body and Repair.
Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
second
Clerk.
that.
Second by Mr. Zanson. Anything further to be said? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Borderland Services,
I'll make a motion to approve Borderland Services with the same restrictions.
I'll second that.
motion seconded. Anything further to be said? Not all in favor, all opposed?
Aye.
That's 4-0-1.
Same motion for Eddie Bailey's Garage.
You know that.
I'll make
Maureen?
I'll second that.
No, it's your, you're the vice chairman, so you're in
Yeah.
charge.
Oh,
of
all
getting
right,
this
all
done.
right. For Eddie Bailey's Garage, approval?
Second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And lastly, I'll make the motion for LA. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion for LA Auto Body and Repair.
I'll-
Second.
Okay.
Anything further to be said? Not all in favor, all opposed? That's 4-0-1. Okay. And that, we're good with the second page too?
Yeah, this is everything.
That was a roll call. All right, thank you very much, that was good. All right. Item 2 is discussion of special and annual town meeting.
I think that the only vote that remained was the proposed end-of-year transfers, which is in your paperwork towards the back. This is.
Kenny did have a question, I don't know if you
I
got
thought there
that.
was one at the annual that we didn't, we were waiting for, was it? Was it at the solar? Oh,
No, we talked about the collective bargaining one, but that.
right, we knew that wasn't gonna
That wasn't
happen.
gonna happen.
I could've
You
sworn
did
they-
ask for information on the article regarding the town clerk's
Right,
salary,
right.
but you did still concur with.
Yes, we did vote, yes.
Concom's recommendations.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
Can I just interrupt you 1 second, I'm sorry. We should have made an exemption on those, passing those licenses until these taxes were.
I did.
You did. You did.
That was not a motion.
I did, sorry.
I got your back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Somebody asked it. Okay, I'm sorry, Rick.
No, and the menu, in fact, was just approved by the finance committee also. And the two questions they have that may be of value to you is the $5,000 for health insurance. Now, that wasn't an under budgeted amount, that was just because there's only a certain amount that we presume we might be using for deductibles. And it's just that it was a heavy year, particularly with the storm damage for deductibles, so.
So which one was that, for the,
That-
to the
this
property
is-
liability insurance?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other one is the $3,000 of the selectmen's expense, that was, I know we mentioned it briefly, but to try to get in one more mowing of Griffin's Dairy property before the end of the fiscal year. So those are the two issues that they raised, so I just convey that to you.
Okay, questions? John, do we need a motion?
Which article is it?
It would be article, or if you would ask me, article,
4? We should know this.
Yes, it's Article,
What is it?
It's Article 6, I think, right?
oh, it's Article 8.
Nope, nope.
Article 8, special
Oh,
town
yeah.
meeting.
Motion to approve Article 8.
With
So
these,
recommend approval
with these specifics.
with this specific attachment.
Second.
Anything further to be said on Article 8? If not, all in favor?
All right.
All opposed, that's unanimous. Discussion on special and annual is, I don't really think we have anything going on that I know of.
No.
I do have just a concern I have to meet with town
Yes,
over the procedure we will use. I talked to a couple members earlier. A little bit of confusion over the vote we're gonna take tomorrow night and how we proceed with it. So we're gonna let town council make that decision, so,
right. And Chairman's gonna meet with them before,
okay?
or after the meeting tonight.
And we'll get a chance to ask questions, if so be it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, it's gonna be.
It's just on how we're gonna vote the
Yeah,
positions.
that's, I mean, I think you guys can understand a little bit of, if you do it this way, if you do it that way, and I just want her opinion on what is the, because we need somebody to blame. So,
Well,
We have you.
This one you
I
can't,
know.
this one you can't blame me for, Mr. Chairman, so, I'm sorry.
no, we still can try.
will all candidates be in attendance tomorrow for the
I
school?
don't know. I emailed them on Friday, hadn't heard back, emailed them again
I
today.
asked Dory and,
Hadn't
Maybe we
heard
should,
back.
maybe we should make a phone call since we have.
Well, you know-
So
I figured
Yeah.
we'd see Wendy
Wanna make sure
tonight,
we're
but that
consistent.
no one has responded
You might see
to
some tonight.
two emails.
Yeah, I would imagine Bob Manning will be here tonight as well.
And Bob will be here tonight.
Janet.
And Janet.
And-
Janet would be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and Wendy, I would imagine will
Wendy's
be. Oh, Wendy will definitely be here for
Yeah,
addition
she
is.
items, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question on Article 7? Community Preservation Act, I see there's an amendment here. Who's offering that amendment?
Oh,
To
Mr.
now
Buckley.
include
Oh.
commercial and industrial property, because actually I
Miss-
prepared an amendment to submit myself on
Yeah,
the same thing.
I think,
Yeah, Jack, Mr.
Jack
Buckley did.
is,
Oh, really?
is offering that amendment now.
Interesting.
He
You're not
said he
gonna
did
agree
the
with him?
same.
Well,
Not
no,
yet.
yeah, no, I don't like the fact that initially it was just residential property that was included. They amended the legislation 2 years ago that now you can include commercial and industrial, so we thought at least, at a minimum, everybody should be treated the same.
Right.
And that goes to a town clean election vote anyways,
Correct.
correct? Would that be a special election, would that be?
No, it has to be
No,
on
it'd be
a
on the
regular
town.
election.
Next
Regular
April.
April.
Okay.
I don't know who, did we approach the moderator with that concern, or he had, but my understanding is he had intended to offer that when he met with the selectmen, that that was his
No?
intent.
He did.
He
But
pulled,
he just
yeah,
didn't,
he pulled it off his computer from last year with the same error
so mission.
and just
Oh.
resubmitted it again without fixing that piece. He meant to, but.
We have the same. That's not good, we're thinking the same way.
We'll let you convey it.
Don't tell him that.
Okay, so we have anything further?
Now, our recommendations are not gonna be in the book that's passed out,
No.
right?
It's,
There is a-
yeah, there's a spreadsheet.
There
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prepared a summary
Oh, nice.
spreadsheet of both meetings, so if people wish, they can pretty
It's
much
actually-
set the meeting.
It's the same though, isn't it, pretty much?
Yeah,
Except for the last one, unless they.
Yeah, I don't know how they voted on that one.
What's that?
Oh, no, wait, no, they
Well, that was-
deferred all the planning board articles, and we
They
did.
deferred all the
deferred-
planning
Yeah,
board.
we
you guys
deferred on
took
just
most
one.
of it,
So your recommendations are on the summary sheets that everybody will get.
and they're in here, but they're in the,
That's
color
what my
salmon.
confusion is, we deferred on one of the plans
Yes,
to
we
the
did.
planning, and we didn't take a vote on, that's what I thought.
Which one?
And they withdrew the ones that we were wrestling.
Which one did we defer on, was it the solar field one that we deferred? to the
Southfield?
planning?
No, because they took that one
No, I
off.
pulled that one.
It's on the summary.
I did, actually, I
I
did.
think I
We got a
you
couple
just
of
said there, yeah,
Oh, it
and
is in
it's
there.
I wanna
also
go down
a
and meet with,
printout right here.
Laura, if I can.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we have, ladies and gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
No, we have to adjourn to the,
To adjourn to the town meeting.
oh, yeah, I have a motion by Mr. Bezanson,
A second that?
second by Ms. Jansen. Any further said? Not all in favor, all opposed, that's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.